Warning. The following podcast contains adult languages and mature subject matter intended for adult audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome back. This is Rancid Readings, episode number 3, on February 9th. I'm Pigeon, and this is Arcade. And, today we're just going to jump right back on into the Eye of Argon.
This is the Eye of Argon, Part 2, Chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
All knowledge of measuring time had escaped grgnr. When a person is deprived of the sun, moon, and stars, he loses all conception of time as he had previously understood it. It seemed as if years had passed, if time were being measured by terms of misery and mental anguish, yet he estimated that his stay had only been a few days in length. He has slept 3 times and had been fed 5 times since his awakening in the crypt. However, when the actions of the body are restricted, its needs are also affected. The need for nourishment and slumber are directly proportional to the function the body has performed, meaning that when free and active, grgnr may become hungry every 6 hours and witness the desire for sleep every 15 hours, whereas in his present condition, he may encounter the need for food every 10 hours and the want for rest every 20 hours. All methods he had before depended upon were extinct in the dismal pit. Hence he may have been imprisoned for 10 minutes or 10 years. He did not know, resulting in a disheartened emotion deep within his being.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The food, if you could honor the moldering lumps of fetid mush to that extent, was borne to him by 2 guards who had opened a portal at the top of his enclosure and shoved it to him in wooden bowls, retrieving the food and water bowels from his previous meal at the same time, after which they threw back the bolts on the iron latch and returned to their other duties. Since deprived of all other means of nourishment, grgnr was impelled to eat the tainted slop in order to ward off the pains of starvation, though as he stuffed it into his mouth with his filthy fingers and struggled to force it down his throat, he imagined it was that which had been spurned by the hounds stationed at various segments of the palace. There was little in the barren vaults that could occupy his body or mind. He had paced out the length and width of the enclosure time and time again, and tested every granite slab which consisted the walls of the prison in hopes of finding a hidden passageway to freedom, all of which was to no avail other than to keep him busy and distract his mind from wandering to thoughts of what he believed was his future. He had memorized the number of strides from one end to the other of the cell, and knew the exact number of slabs which made up the bleak dungeon. Numerous schemes were introduced and alternately discarded in turn as they succored to unravel to him no means of escape which stood the slightest chance of success. Anguish continued to mount as his means of occupation were rapidly exhausted. Suddenly, without no tithe...
What?
He was rousted from his contemplations as he detected a faint scratching sound at the end of the crypt opposite him. The sound seemed to be caused by something trying to scrape away at the granite blocks the floor of the enclosure consisted of, the sandy scratching of something like an animal's claws. grgnr gradually groped his way to the other end of the vault, carefully feeling his way along with his hands ahead of him. When a few inches from the wall, a loud, penetrating squeal and the scampering of small padded feet reverberated from the walls of the roughly hewn chamber.
If it's made of bricks, how can it be roughly hewn?
But it's also granite, apparently?
But,
grgnr threw his hands up to shield his face and flung himself backwards upon his buttocks.
So this huge tough barbarian is just like, "Eee, a mouse!" and like flails back.
A fuzzy form bounded to his hairy chest, burying its talons in his flesh while gnashing towards his throat with its grinding white teeth.
Semicolon, no space.
Its sour, fetid breath scorching with a T. Scorching the squirming barbarian's dilating nostrils. grgnr grappled with the lashing flexor muscles of the repugnant body of a gargantuan brown-headed rat, striving to hold its razor teeth from his juicy jugular as its beady gray organs of sight. I think that right there is probably my favorite euphemism in this whole story. Its beady gray organs of sight.
If I ever saw a rat with gray eyes, I would be very perplexed because I've only seen them with black or pink or red.
Additionally, how big is this thing? Must be like the size of a large dog if it's pinning this huge buff barbarian.
I was about to say, I own a very large rat, but he cannot bury his talons in my flesh and gnash his teeth.
This is like the most intense rat ever.
Yeah. It's like a video game rat.
As its beady gray organs of sight glazed into the flaring emeralds of its prey.
Glazed is not the right word.
Oh, sight glazed, yeah. Oh, that's my bad. I missed that one.
You said glazed anyway. That's just not what that means.
It's just a bad word.
Yep.
Taking hold of the rodent around its lean, growling stomach with both hands, Grgnr pried it from his crimson-rent breast.
Crimson-rent breast. Sorry.
You gonna be okay?
Yes.
Yeah?
I've had too much sugar.
Oh. Okay.
Go.
Removing small patches of flayed flesh from his chest in the motion between the squalid black claws of the starving beast. Holding the rodent at arm's length, he cupped his right hand over its frothing face, contracting. There's no vowel in there. There's an O and there's an I. Contracting. His fingers into a vice-like fist over the quivering head. Retaining his grips on the rat, Grgnr flexed his outstretched arms while slowly twisting his right hand clockwise and his left hand counterclockwise motion.
That is grammar, and yes.
The rodent let out a tortured squall, drawing scarlet as it violently dug its foam-flecked fangs into the barbarian's sweating palm, causing his face to contort to an ugly grimace as he cursed beneath his breath.
I don't think he knows what a squall is,
No.
but...
It's just like opens its mouth and this tiny storm comes out. It's a magic rat.
Okay.
It's a giant, evil
magic rat.
That's also big enough for him to hold in like one hand, so I don't know.
With a loud crack, the rodent's head parted from its squirming torso, sending out a sprinkling shower of crimson gore.
What? That's not... Oh, okay.
And trailing a slimy string of disjointed vertebrae, snapped trachea, esophagus, and jugular, disjointed hyoid bone.
Alright, I don't know anatomy very well, but disjointed hyoid bone. Is that a thing?
No.
No, I didn't think that was a thing.
Morose purple stretched hide and blood-seared muscles.
That was just like 3 paragraphs about Grgnr got attacked by a rat. Grgnr
And he popped his
squished the
head
rat.
off, yeah.
Fleeing the broken body to the floor, Grgnr shook his blood-streaked hands and wiped them against his thigh until dry, then wiped the blood that had showered his face and from his eyes.
How much blood did this rat have?
Again sitting himself upon the jagged floor. The floor is jagged now.
Yeah.
He prepared to once more revamp his glum meditations. Revamp his glum meditations.
It's not a good word.
He told himself that as long as he still breathed the gust of life through his lungs, hope was not lost. Semicolon. He told himself this, but found it hard to comprehend in his gloomy surroundings. Yet he was still alive. His bulging sinews at that peak of marvel, his struggling mind floating in the myrill of impressed excellence of thought. What?
Oh.
Plot after plot sifted through his mind in energetic contemplations.
Then it hit him. Minutes may have passed in silent thought or days, he could not tell. Oh god, the punctuation there is garbage. But he stumbled at last upon a plan that he considered as holding a slight margin of plausibility. He might die in the attempt, but he knew he would not submit without a final bloody struggle. It was not a foolproof plan, yet had built up a store of renewed vortexed energy in his overwrought soul. Though he might perish in the execution of the escape, he would still be escaping the life of infinite torture in store for him. Either way, he would still cheat the gloating prince of the succored revenge his sadistic mind craved so dearly. So he's a prince again now?
His monarchy...
Prince King Noble...
Yeah, Prince King Noble, Duke.
I don't know. The guards would soon come to bear him off to the prince's buried mines of dread, giving him the sought-after opportunity to execute his newly formulated plan. Groping his way along the rough floor, Grgnr finally found his tool in a pool of congealed gore. The carcass of the decapitated rodent. The tool that the very filth he had been sentenced to spawned. When the time came for action, he would have to be prepared, so he set himself to rending the sticky hulk in grim silence, searching by the touch of his fingertips for the lever to freedom.
What?
The lever to freedom. That's...
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Up on the altar and be done with it, wench.
Ordered a fidgeting shaman as he gave the female a grim stare, accompanied by the wrinkling of his lips to a mirthful grin of delight. The girl burst into a slow, steady whimper, stooping shakily to her knees and cringing woefully from the priest with both arms wound snake-like around the bulging jade shin rising before her scantily attired figure.
What?
The bulging jade shin, I said.
Okay.
Her face was redly inflamed from the salty flow of tears spouting from her glassy, dilated eyeballs. With short, heavy footfalls, the priest of... I thought he was a shaman.
Shamans can be priests,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, I thought they were kind of like, not really the same thing.
Eh.
The priest approached the female, his piercing stare never wavering from her quivering young countenance. Halting before the terrified girl, he projected his arm outward and motioned her to arise with an upward movement of his hand. Like, is it really so hard to just say, he gestured her to stand up? Or he motioned for her to stand up. It's like, no. He motioned for her to stand up by extending his arm and slowly rising at one end before the other.
It's so flowery.
The flickering torches outlined her trim build with a weird, ornate glow as it cast a ghostly shadow dancing in horrid waves of splendor over smoothly worn whiteness of the marble-hewn altar. I thought it was ivory. I'm pretty sure it was ivory. The shaman's lips curled back farther, exposing a set of blackened, decaying molars. He managed to open his mouth farther than you could see his molars.
Yeah.
Blackened, decaying molars, which transformed his slovenly grin into a wide, greasy arc of sadistic mirth and alternately interposed into the female a strong sensation of stomach-curdling nausea.
Have it as you will, female,
gloated the enhanced priest as he bent over at the waist, projecting his ape-like arms forward and clasped the female's slender arms with his hairy round fists. With an inward surge of his biceps, he harshly jerked the trembling girl to her feet and smothered her salty, wet cheeks with the moldy touch of his decrepit, dull lips.
What?
So now we get, like, the most weirdly written rape.
It was like a paragraph for he reached down, grabbed her, and then picked her up.
Also, he was ugly.
Yeah.
The vile stench of the shaman's hot, fetid breath overcame the nauseated female with a deep, soul-searing sickness, causing her to wrench her head backwards and regurgitate a slimy, orange-white stream of swelling gore over the richly woven purple robe of the enthused alkalite. The priest's lips trembled with a malicious rage as he removed his callous paws from the girl's arms and replaced them with tightly around her undulating neck.
Her neck was undulating?
Shaking her violently to and fro. The girl gasped a tortured groan from her clamped lungs, her sea-blue eyes bulging Wait, you mean there weren't emerald orbs?
No.
Oh. Her sea-blue eyes bulging forth from damp sockets. Cocking her right foot backwards, she leashed it desperately outwards with the strength of a demon possessed, lodging her sandaled foot squarely between the shaman's testicles.
Damn, what aim. Between his balls.
Between his balls, just split it down the middle. The priest released his clutching grip, crimping her body over at the waist, overlooking his recessed belly. Wide open in a deep chassim. How would you pronounce that?
Chassim?
It looks like it should say chasm, but there's an I in there. I'm going to say chassim. I like chassim. His face flushed to a rose-red shade of crimson. Not the same thing. Eyelids fluttering wide with eyeballs protruding blindly outwards from their sockets to their outmost parameters. Outmost perimeters. While his lips quivered wildly about, allowing an agonizing wallow to gust forth as his breath billowed from burning lungs. His hands reached out, clutching his urinary glands.
What?
Reached out.
Yes.
You had to reach out to grab his balls.
Is your ball really your urinary gland? Isn't that your bladder? Just saying.
As his knees wobbled rapidly about for a few seconds, then buckled, causing the ruptured shaman to collapse in an egg-huddled mass to the granite pavement, rolling helplessly about in his agony. I'm pretty sure they described this room earlier as being ivory. And it was marble earlier.
Yes, those are both things that are correct.
The pathetic screeches of the shaman, groveling in dejected misery upon the hand-hewn granite-laid pavement worn smooth by countless hours of arduous sweat and toil, a welter of ichor oozing through his clenched hands, attracted the perturbed attention of his comrades from their floated ulations.
What?
That's not how you spell fetid, and I don't know what ulations are.
It's like they were gonna spell fetus, but spelled fetid instead.
That's not how fetid is spelt, though.
No.
No. The actions of this rebellious wench bespoke the credence of an unheard of sacrilege. Never before in a lost maze of untold eons had a chosen one dared to demonstrate such blasphemy in the face of the cult's idolic deity. So she kicked this guy so hard in the balls that he's like bleeding all over the place now?
Yeah, he's like having some sort of apoplectic fit or something.
Oh no, that comes later. The girl cowered in unreasoning terror, hopeless in the face of the emblazoned alkalite's rage, her orchid-tussled face smothered betwixt her bulging bosom as she shut her... Oh god, okay. So she just like covered her face with her tits?
Yes. Or she put her face down so far she put it in her cleavage.
Oh, okay.
Either way is impossible.
As she shut her curled lashed tightly, hoping to open them and find herself awakening from a morbid nightmare. Yet the hand of destiny decreed her no such mercy. The agonized pack of leering shaman converging tensely upon her prostrate form were entangled all too lividly in the grim web of reality. Oh, I love that. Entangled too lividly in the grim web of reality.
Oh.
Shuddering from the clammy touch of the shaman as they grappled with her supple form, hands wrenching at her slender arms and legs in all direction, her bare body being molested in the midst of a labyrinth of orange smudges, purpled satin, and mangled skull. So I thought she was wearing a purple robe, but now she's naked?
Yeah.
Shadowed in an eerie crimson glow, her confused hand reeled then clouded in a mist of enshrouding ebony as she lapsed beneath the protective sheet of unconsciousness to a land of peach and resign.
Chapter 6. Take hold of this rope,
said the first soldier.
And climb out from your pit, slut. Your presence is requested in another, far deeper hellhole.
Grgnr slipped his right hand to his thigh, concealing a small, opaque object beneath the folds of the G-string wrapped about his waist. Brine wells swelled in Grignr's cold, jade-squinting eyes, which, grown accustomed to the gloom of the Stygian pools of ebony engulfing him, were bedazzled and blinded by the flickering radiance cast forth by the second soldier's resin torch.
His eyes teared up because he had light in them.
It was real bright because he's been in the dark for so long.
Okay.
Tightly gripped in the second soldier's right hand, opposite the intermittent torch.
It's sometimes there and sometimes not.
Was a large double-edged axe, a long leather-wound oaken handle transfixing the center of the weapon's iron head. Yes, that is the definition of an axe. Adorning the torsos of both of the sentries were thin yet sturdy hauberks, the breastplates of which were woven of tightly hemmed twines of reinforced silver braiding. Cupping the soldiers' feet were thick leather sandals, wound about their shins to 2 inches below their knees. To 2 inches below, that's very specific.
Yes.
Wrapped about their waists were wide satin girdles with slender bladed it's not poniards, it's poniards. They have poniards.
Poniards?
Poniards.
Oh.
Dangling loosely from them, the hilts of which featured scarlet-encrusted gems. Oh, so emeralds.
Yes.
Because emeralds are red, as we've established.
Oh, yeah.
Resting upon the manes of their heads and reaching midway to their brows were smooth copper morions. Spiraling the lower portion of the helmet were short, upcurled silver spikes, while a golden hump spired from the top of each bassinet. Beneath their chins, wound around their necks, and draping their clad shoulders, dangled regal purple satin cloaks, which flowed midway to the soldiers' feet.
Oh.
Hand over hand, feet braced against the dank walls of the enclosure, huge grgnr ascended from the mouldering depths of the forlorn abyss. His swelled limbs, stiff due to the boredom of a timeless inactivity, compounded by the musty atmosphere and jagged granic protuberance against his body, craved for action. The opportunity now presenting itself served the purpose of oiling his rusty joints and honing his dulled senses. I thought it established in the last chapter that he was, still in peak physical condition, but now it's he's sore because he's been sitting, as one would be.
Oh.
He braced himself, facing the second soldier. The sentry's stature was wildly exaggerated in the glare of the flickering crescent cuppix in his right fist. What?
What the
Crescent cuppix. His eyes were wide open in a slightly slanted, owlish glaze, enhanced in their sinister intensity by the hawkbill curve of his nose and pale yellow peak of his cheeks.
Place your hands behind your back,
said the second soldier as he raised his axe over his right shoulder blade and cast it a wavering glance.
We must bind your wrists to parry any attempts at escape. Be sure to make the knot a stout one. Broig, we wouldn't want our guests to take leave of our guidance.
I'm telling you exactly what you know we're supposed to do. Right?
Good.
Broig grasped grgnr's left wrist and reached for the barbarian's right wrist. Grgnr wrenched his right arm free and swilveled.
God!
Yes, back to the swilveling. And swilveled to face Broig, reached beneath his loincloth with his right hand. The sentry grappled at his girdle for the sheathed dagger, but recoiled short of his intentions as grgnr's right arm swept to his gorge. The soldier went limp, his bobbing eyes rolling beneath fluttering eyelids, a deep welt across his spouting gullet. Without lingering to observe the result of his efforts, grgnr dropped to his knees. The second soldier's axe cleft over grgnr's head in a blizz of silvered ferocity, severing several scarlet locks from his scalp. Coming to rest in his fellow's stomach, the iron head crashed through mail and flesh with splintering force, spilling a pool of crimsoned entrails over the granite pavement. So, you're swinging at a buddy with an axe. You don't make sure your dude's out of the way first?
Apparently not.
This guy's just that eager. Before the sentry could wrench his axe free from his comrade's carcass, he found grgnr's massive hands clasped about his throat, choking the life from his clamped lungs. With a zealous grunt, the accordion flexed his tightly corded biceps, forcing the grim-faced soldier to one knee. The sentry plunged his right fist into grgnr's face, digging his grimy nails into the barbarian's flesh. If he's got a fist, how is he nails?
Dunno.
Yeah. Ejaculating a curse through rasping teeth, grgnr surged the bulk of his weight forward, bowling the besieged soldier over upon his back. The sentry's arms collapsed to his thigh, shuddering convulsively, his bulging eyes staring blindly from a bloated cherry-red face. Rising to his feet, grgnr shook the blood from his eyes, ruffling his surly red mane as a brush fire swaying to the nighttime breeze. Stooping over the sprawled corpse of the first soldier, grgnr retrieved a small white object from a pool of congealing gore. I don't think gore congeals, yet it has done so twice in this story.
I think it does congeal, but blood takes a long time to
Yeah,
congeal.
not like 30 seconds later. Snorting a gusty billow of mirth, he once more concealed the tiny object beneath his loincloth, the tediously honed pelvis bone of the broken rodent. Returning his attention toward the second soldier, grgnr turned to the task of attiring his limbs.
What?
To move about freely through the dim recesses of the castle would require the grotesque garb of its soldiery.
Okay, so the author gave, like, what is it, a paragraph and 3/4 to describe what these soldiers are wearing, and they died immediately a paragraph afterward.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very important that you know what they look like.
Okay.
Utilizing the silence and stealth acquired in the untamed climes of his childhood. Climbs, like, that is to say, like, climbing?
I guess so.
But I think he means, like, climate.
Oh.
grgnr slink through twisting corridors and winding stairways, lighting his way with the confiscated torch of his dispatched guardian. A guardian is someone who protects you.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing where his steps were leading to, grgnr meandered aimlessly in search of an exit from the chateau's dim confines. What do you mean, knowing where his steps were leading to? Obviously, he knew exactly where he was going, so he tried to find where he was going. The wild blood coursing through his veins yearned for the undefiled freedom of the livid wilderness lands. Coming upon a fork in the passage, he shrieked.
Good.
Voices accompanied by clinking footfalls discerned to his sensitive ears from the left corridor. Wishing to avoid contact, grgnr veered to the right passageway. If questioned as to the purpose of his presence, his barbarous accent would reveal his identity, being that his attire was not of that of the castle's mercenary troops.
Okay.
Well, then what was he dressed like?
I don't know.
This guy has used mercenary and guard, like,
Interchangeably
interchangeably so
but
far.
But they're not the same thing?
It's like now he realized what mercenary means. In grim silence... This is like the second time it's been grim silence, hasn't it?
It's always grim silence.
The silence is always grim. In grim silence, grgnr treated down the dingily lit corridor, a stalking panther creeping warily along on padded feet. After an interminable period of wandering through the dull corridors, no gaps to break the monotony of the cold grey walls, grgnr espied a small winding stairway. Descending the flight of arced granite slabs to their posterior, grgnr was confronted by a short hallway leading to a tall, arched wooden doorway. Halting before the teeming portal...
What?
The teeming portal! grgnr rested his shaggy head sideways against the barrier. Detecting no sounds from within, he grasped the looped metal handle of the door, his arm surging with a tremendous effort of bulging muscles. Yet the door would not budge. Retrieving his axe from where he had sheathed it beneath his girdle,
What?
he hefted it in his mighty hands with an appeased grunt, and wedging one of its blackened edges into the crack between the portal and its iron-rimmed sill. Bracing his sandaled right foot against the rogally hewn wall, teeth tightly clenched, grgnr apple-levered the oaken haft, employing it as a lever whereby to pry open the barrier.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, we got that bit. The leather-wound hilt bending to its utmost limits of endurance, the massive portal swung open with a grating of snapped latch and rusty iron hinges. Glancing about the dust-swirled room in the gloomily dancing glare of his flickering cresset, grgnr eyed evidence of the enclosure being nothing more than a forgotten storeroom. Miscellaneous articles required for the maintenance of a castle were piled in disorganized heaps at infrequent intervals towards the wall opposite the barbarian's piercing stare. Utilizing long, bounding strides, grgnr paced his way over to the mounds of supplies to discover if any articles of value were contained within their midst. Detecting a faint clinking sound, grgnr sprawled to his left side with the speed of a striking cobra, landing harshly upon his back, torch and axe loudly clattering to the floor in a morass of sparks and flame. A elm-woven board leaped from collapsed flooring, clashing against the jagged flooring and spewing a shower of orange and yellow sparks over grgnr's startled face. Rising uneasily to his feet, the half-stunned accordion glared down at the gruesome arm of death he had unwittingly sprung. Mrfk!
That's an exclamation.
That's grgnr's exclamation, if you didn't remember.
Mrfk?
It was originally, by the beard of Mrfk! But now he just says, Mrfk! Which to me sounds like something an unpleased dog would do. That's like a dog being like, hey, you gave him a treat, but not me. If not for his keen auditory organs and lightning-steeled reflexes, grgnr would have been groping through the shallowed hell pits of the Grim Reaper.
Oh.
The shadowed hell pits of the Grim Reaper.
Oh.
He had unknowingly stumbled upon an ancient, long-forgotten booby trap. A mistake which would have stunted the pursuit of longevity of one less agile.
So he tripped a trap and almost killed him.
I definitely like the perusal of longevity.
I can't...
A mechanism similar in type to that of a miniature catapult was concealed beneath two collapsible sections of granite flooring. So it was like a wood board, but it was beneath granite, and the arm of the device was 4 feet long, boasting razor-like cleats at regular intervals along its face, with which it was to skewer the luckless body of its would-be. So it's a board with nails in it!
Yeah.
Grgnr had stepped upon a concealed catch, which released a small metal latch beneath the two granite sections, causing them to fall inward, and thereby loosed the spiked arm of death they precariously held. So if they fall down,
Yeah.
how is this thing freed? What's holding it down? If not them, but they were holding it down? But what?
And what did grgnr do to, like, activate
Oh,
this?
he stepped on a catch, it says.
Oh,
It did
okay.
say he stepped on it. Partially out of curiosity, and partially out of an inordinate fear of becoming a pincushion for a possible second trap, grgnr plunged his torch into the exposed gap in the floor. The floor of a second chamber stood out 7 feet below the glare. Tossing his torch through the aperture, grgnr grasped the side of an adjoining tile, dropping down. Glancing about the room, grgnr discovered that he has descended into the palace's mausoleum.
What? Why?
So the way you get to the mausoleum is by going through a trap door in a storage closet in the dungeon. What a great place to bury your honored dead. Rectangular stone crypts cluttered the floor at evenly placed intervals. The tops of the enclosure were plated with thick layers of virgin gold.
What is virgin gold?
I got nothing
It's gold that hasn't had sex
for you.
yet?
Yeah. The gold that ain't getting it.
Yeah.
While the sides were plated with white ivory,
No.
as opposed to that other kind of ivory that we know they have. At one time sparkling, but now grown dingy through the passage of the rays of all-encompassing Mother Time. I've never heard anyone refer to it as Mother Time. But, like, the gold is, like, virgin and beautiful, but this ivory is, like, dusty as fuck.
Apparently.
Featured at the head of each sarcophagus in tarnished silver was an expugnatively
Expensively?
carved likeness of its rotting inhabitant. A dingy atmosphere pervaded the air of the chamber, which, sealed in the enclosure for an unknown period, had grown thick and stale. Intermingling with the curdled currents was the repugnant stench of slowly moldering flesh, creeping ever so slowly but surely through minute cracks in the numerous vaults. Due to the embalming of the bodies, their flesh decayed at a much slower rate than is normal. Yet the nauseating
Odor.
oh dear
Odor.
was nonetheless repellent. Towering over Grgnr's head was the trap he released. The mechanism of the miniaturized catapult, with an O, was cluttered with mildew and cobwebs. Notwithstanding these relics of antiquity, its efficiency remained unimpinged. Okay, he used the word unimpinged pretty good. That's a point for him.
So one out of this whole
out of,
thing.
like a bit show you. To the right of the trap wound a short stairway through a recess in the ceiling. A concealed entrance leading to the mausoleum, for which the catapult had obviously been erected as a silent, relentless guardian. Climbing up the side of the device, grgnr set to the task of resetting its mechanism. In the event that a search was organized, it would prove well to leave no evidence of his presence open to wandering eyes. Besides, it might even serve to dwindle the size of an opposing force. If people are searching for you in this place, chances are they're going to know that trap's there.
Yeah.
Descending from his perch, grgnr was startled by a faintly muffled scream of horrified desperation. His hair prickled yawkishly
Yawkishly?
in disorganized clumps along his scalp. What? What was the point of this sentence? His hair prickled yawkishly in disorganized clumps along his scalp, as a cold danced along the length of his spinal cord.
He's gonna
Also,
be sick.
also sentence. No moral/mortal barrier, human or otherwise, was capable of arousing the numbing sensation of fear inside of grgnr's smoldering soul. However, he was overwrought by the forces of the barbarian's instinctive fear of the supernatural. His mighty thews had always served to adequately conquer an intangible foe. Period, comma. But the intangible was something distant and terrible. Dim, horrifying tales, passed by word of mouth over glimmering campfires and skins of wine, had more than once served the purpose of chilling the marrowed core of his sturdy limbed bones.
Jesus.
Oh god, these run-on sentences are going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yet, the scream contained a strangely human quality, unlike that which grgnr imagined would come from the lungs of a demon or spirit, making grgnr take short, nervous strides, advancing to the sarcophagus from which the sound was issuing. Clenching his teeth in an attempt to steel his jangled nerves, grgnr slid the engraved slab from the vault with a short rasp of grinding stone.
Such a bad choice of words. His
Another
jangled nerves.
long-drawn cry of terror-infested anguish met the barbarian, scoring like the shrill piping of a demented banshee, piercing the inner fibres. The inner fibres of his superstitious brain with primitive dread and all. I don't know, I like inner fibres.
To be fair, most people don't spell with that R-E thing.
No. I think I'm just going to have to Spanish the rest of it. The tortured cries were not coming from the tomb, but from some hidden depths below! Exclamation.
Oh,
That's very exciting.
okay.
Pulling the reeking corpse from its resting place, grgnr tossed it to the floor in a broken mangle heap. Upon one side of the crypt's bottom was attached a series of tiny hinges, while running parallel along the opposite side of a convex railing-like protuberance, laid so as to appear as a part of the interior surface of the sarcophagus. Raising the slab upon its bronze hinges, long removed from the gaze of human eyes, grgnr perceived a scene which caused his blood to smolder not unlike bubbling molten lava.
What? I'm so confused.
His blood is boiling in a way that's kind of a lot like lava. Directly below him, a whimpering female lay stretched upon a smooth surface marble altar. So it's marble again.
Yep.
A pack of grassy faced shaman.
Grassy?
Grasy.
Okay.
Of grassy faced shaman clustered around her in tight circular formation. Crouched over the girl, that's my bad. I failed. Was a tall, pot-bellied priest, his face dominated by a disgusting open-mouthed grimace of sadistic... A grimace is not a pleased expression. A grimace is a large purple character from the McDonald's advertisements.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
Suspended from the acolyte's clenched right hand was a carven, oval-faced mallet,
Again, something is oval-shaped again.
which he waved menacingly over the girl's shadowed face, an incoherent gibberish flowing from his grinning, thick-lipped mouth. In the face of the amorphous, broad-breasted female, stretched out alluring before his gaping eyes, the universal whim of nature filling a plea of despair inside his white-hot soul.
So he's horny now.
Yeah. He's like, titties!
Oh,
I
titties!
gotta save them!
I gotta save them so I could bang that.
Grgnr acted in the only manner he could perceive. Giving vent to a hoarse, throat-rending battle cry, Grgnr plunged into the midst of the startled shaman.
Every other time it was shaman, like singular. But now he's pluralized it.
Yep.
Dart simmering in his left hand, and axe,
One word.
twirling in his right hand. A gaunt, skull-faced priest standing at the far side of the altar, clutched desperately at his throat, coughing furiously in an attempt to catch his breath. Lurching helplessly to and fro, the acolyte pitched headlong against the gleaming base of a massive jade idol, writhing agonizingly against the hideous image, foam flecking his chalk-white lips. The priest struggled helplessly, the victim of an epileptic seizure.
So this is...
This dude's just like, oh shit, a barbarian!
So
and
yeah,
has
so
a seizure.
Grgnr just jumps out of the ceiling going, nah! And then this guy like falls down and has a seizure.
The whole fucking seizure.
Startled by the barbarian's stunning appearance, the chronic fit of their fellow, and the fear that Grgnr might be the avant-garde
Of a conquering force. No, I think you mean vanguard? the avant-garde.
The avant-garde.
The avant-garde. Oh, Grgnr might be the avant-garde of a conquering force dedicated to the cause of destroying their degenerated cult. The shaman
The
Saman momentarily lost their composure, giving vent to heedless pandemonium. The priests fell easy prey to Grignr's sweeping arc of crimsoned death and maiming destruction. The acolyte performing the sacrifice took a vicious blow to the stomach, hands clutching vital and severed spinal cord as he sprawled over the altar. The disorganized priests lurched and staggered with split skulls, dismembered limbs, and spewing entrails before the enraged accordion's relentless onslaught. The howls of the maimed and dying... The howlies.
The howlays of the maimed and dying
reverberated against the walls of the tiny chamber. A chorus of hell fraught despair as the granite floor ran red with blood. The entire chamber was encompassed in the heat of raw, savage butchery as Grgnr luxuriated in the grips of a primitive, beastly bloodlust. I don't know why I keep, coming back to my Jeff Goldblum on this. I don't know why. I'm kind of just... But that's the way it's always going. Presently, all went Sealanet. Save for the ebbing groans of the sinking shaman and Grignr's heaving breath, accompanied by several gusty curses. The well had run dry. No more lambs remained for the slaughter. That's fucking dark. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
The rampaging stead of death, having taken of Grgnr for the moment, left the barbarian free to the exploitation of his other perusials.
What?
Towering over his head was the misshaped image of the cult's hideous deity, Argon. Not to be confused with the heavy noble gas.
I was about to say,
It's a noble gas. The fantastic size of the idol, in consideration of its being of pure jade, was enough to cause the sense of any man to stagger and reel. Yet this was not the case for the behemoth. He had paid only casual notice to this incredible fact, while riveting the whole of its attention upon the jewel protruding from the idol's sole socket. Its masterfully cut faucets emitting faucets, like... Someone just, carved a bunch of faucets in it, so you can just, turn it on and get water out of it, I guess? its masterfully cut faucets emitting blinding rays of hypnotizing beauty. After all, a man cannot slink from a heavily guarded palace while burdened down by the intense bulk of a squatting statue. Providing, of course, that the idol can even be hefted, which in fact was beyond the reaches of grgnr's coursing stamina. On the other hand, the jewel, gigantic as it was, would not present a hindrance of any mean concern.
Help me, please. I can make it worth your while,
Pleaded a soft, anguish-strewn voice wafting over grgnr's shoulders as he plucked the dull red emerald from its roots. Turning, grgnr faced the female that had lured him into this bloodbath, but whom had become all but forgotten in the heat of the battle. "You!" ejaculated the accordion in a pleased tone. "I thought I had seen the last of you at the tavern, but verily I was mistaken." Grgnr advanced into the grips of the female's entrancing stare, severing the golden chains that held her captive upon the altar's highly polished face of ornamental limestone.
She was bolted down with gold chains, which are terrible.
Yeah, the gold chains would be pretty easy to break. As Grgnr lifted the girl from the altar, her arms wound dexterously about his neck, soft and smooth against his harsh exterior.
Art thou pleased that we have chanced to meet once again?
Grgnr merely voiced and sighed grunt.
We meet again.
Returning the damsel's embrace while he smothered her trim, delicate lips between the coursing protrusions of his reeking maw.
Ew.
So he's just like, face. I imagine, like, I've got this mental image of, like, a penguin feeding a baby penguin, you know, where it, like, shoves its face inside the other penguin. That's what I see right now. "Let us take leave of this wretched chamber," stated Grgnr as he placed the female upon her feet. She swooned a moment, causing Grgnr to give her support, then regained her stance. "Art thou able to find your way through the accursed passages of this castle? Every one of the corridors of this damn place are identical."
I was at one time a slave of the Prince Agapim. His clammy touch sent a sour swill through my belly, but my efforts reaped a harvest. I gained the pig's liking, whereby he allowed me the freedom of the palace. It was through this means I eventually managed to escape at the western gate. His trust found him with a dagger thrust in his ribs.
The wench stated whimsicorically.
What?
Whimsicorically. So she, like, shanked the prince?
Yes.
But he's like, okay. She didn't do a very good job of that.
No.
"What were you doing at the tavern whence I discovered you?" asked Grgnr as he lifted the female through the opening into the mausoleum.
I had sought to lay low from the palace's guards as they conducted their search for me. This tavern was seldom frequented by the palace guards, and my identity was unknown to the common soldiers. It was through the disturbance said you had caused that the palace guards were attracted to the tavern. I was dragged away shortly after you were escorted to the palace.
"What are you called by, female?"
Oh God, what is this? Carthena, daughter of Mincardos, Duke of Barwego, whose lands border along the northwestern fringes of Gortham.
Gortham.
I was paid homage to Agapim on his 38th year. Husk the Femme!
Husk the Femme!
With an
Exclamation mark. "And I am called a barbarian."
Aye, the ways of our civilization are in many ways warped and distorted. But what is your calling? She queried bustily?
She queried bustily?
With an X.
Yeah, with a question mark. "Grgnr of Ecordia."
You know, we've been going for about an hour. That's a good place
We're
to
like
stop it.
halfway done chapter 6.
But we're mostly done the story.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think next time
Yes.
we're going to get the helium.
Next time, we're going to bust out the helium.
All right. Thanks, everybody.